Hey there, Alex Kidman here with my quick video review of the Motorola Moto G62 5G. Yet another budget phone from Motorola. It sure does have a lot in this space and around these kinds of price points. Specifically, here in Australia, the G62 5G will run you around $399 outright. There are some telcos who are also carrying it as a contract option. And there are a lot of $399 phones, so it takes a lot to stand out. And the way that the G62 stands out is kind of surprising. It's not that it's massively good in any one area, it's that it's generally good across most of them. And you don't see that a lot in phones of this price point. So what do you actually get for your money? The Motorola G62 5G is built around a 6.5-inch 1080p plus display with a 120Hz refresh rate. Now, those fast refresh rates are something we are starting to see a lot more in these mid to low spec and low price phones. They're really nice to see. You can, of course, dial it down to 60Hz if you want to preserve battery life. A little more on that later. It's built around the Snapdragon 480 Plus processor, but with just 4 gig of RAM and 128 gig of storage. You can boost that, though, with microSD, which is something I always like to see. So the good stuff here, that 5,000 milliamp battery is actually quite good. Now, almost every phone you find at this price point will advertise a 5,000 milliamp battery or near to that kind of number. And it can be really hard to pick, right, well, whose claims are actually adequate? Who lives up to their promises of all-day or multi-day battery life? The reality here is that it's totally variable because it depends on what you do with the phone. But in my tests, I've found the G62 5G is a pretty good performer, even with the battery sapping 120Hz screen enabled. The hit that I took for that over the course of a day was not substantial. It wasn't huge. Yes, it was there. Yes, if I needed to eke out more time, then I would need to dial it down to 60Hz. But if you wanted to leave this at 120Hz, certainly, yeah, a single day is actually quite achievable, at least based on my experiences. What about in terms of software? So Motorola's Android launcher isn't the absolute cleanest out there. Google obviously leads the pack there, and Nokia is not far behind. But it's fairly clean, it's fairly customizable. I do like that. I like being able to make Android my own. Of course, if you like a full takeover launcher, if you like the Oppos or the Samsungs of this world, that won't appeal to you quite so much. Here, though, it is a bit limited by its 4 gig of RAM. Certainly, you can run games, you can run other applications of that type, but it won't run them particularly quickly. Having said that, in benchmark terms, it actually slightly outpaces a lot of the rest of the market that I've tested. So it's not all bad news. It's very much within the scope of what you can expect for a phone at this price point. And for the average everyday user, yeah, it's probably adequate. On the camera front, at the rear, there are 3 cameras. You've got your 50 megapixel primary lens, 8 megapixel ultra wide lens, and 2 megapixel macro lens. Now, these 2 megapixel macro lenses are across just about every cheap phone right now, and they tend to drive me nuts because they can be very, very difficult to get on with. I was not thrilled with the output of the G62 5G, which again, very much shoots within its lane. Yes, you can get some decent photos. I've got some samples up that you can see here now, and even passable video is possible, but this isn't a Pixel, this isn't an iPhone, this isn't a high-end Galaxy phone, and nobody should think that it is. You're going to shoot off that 50 megapixel primary lens most of the time. If you like selfies, around the front there's a 16 megapixel single selfie camera in a hole punch mount. Are there any other features I don't like? Well, look, the design is relatively plain, and again, that's a total taste matter. I do like the fact that Motorola includes a clear case with the phone because every phone deserves a case. It just protects the phone. It protects your investment in the phone. You can do more with it for longer. This is a good thing. It really is. However, the rest of the design is fairly plain. It has a side-mounted fingerprint sensor, and I'm not a big fan of those because the accuracy just isn't there. I find them rather difficult to get on with, and the G62 5G is no exception. So who is this best for? Well, look, if you're looking at the $400 price point outright for a phone, this is a pretty good buy because it balances all of those compromises quite well. The screen is good, the battery life is good, the performance is acceptable. I would have liked to see a little bit more RAM, frankly, Motorola. and the cameras are quite workable within this space while not providing miracles. Of course, if you do want more, if you do want better photographic chops, or you want a faster process or whatever, you do have to bump up a bit. Of course, these days, that doesn't necessarily have to be all that much more, and it wouldn't surprise me indeed to see the G62 on sale for a little bit less than what it's been stated here. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Motorola G62 5G. What do you think? Anything you'd like to know? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe.